European allies huddled at the NATO headquarters in Brussels in hopes to reboot and also replenish the defense arc. This as the US traces its steps backwards from the leadership role in the transatlantic alliance. The US Defense Secretary, in fact, did not attend this gathering of defense ministers. His no-show comes after the Secretary of State skipped the last meeting of the NATO foreign ministers in December. Ahead of the huddle, America's Pentagon policy chief has said that NATO should be based more on partnership than dependency.
Now it's time to march out together, to be pragmatic, to be focused on the kind of flexible realism that the national security strategy and the national defense strategy are based on and really exhibit. And I think we have a really strong basis for working together in partnership, but putting NATO kind of a 3.0 NATO that's based a partnership rather than dependency, and really a return to what NATO was originally intended for.
It's rare for members of a U.S. administration to miss a meeting of the organization's top decision-making body, the North Atlantic Council, at the level of ministers, let alone 2 meetings in a row. Under the Secretary of War, Elbridge Colby was sent in Hexet's place. In fact, the NATO Secretary General opened the meeting of the defense ministers and emphasized continued support for Ukraine, increasing defense budget. In NATO's response to the U.S. security concerns in the High North, he also spoke about the NATO launching Arctic Sentry, ostensibly aimed at countering Russian and Chinese activities or influence in the Arctic region.
NATO is always on duty to deter and defend. This is why we have just launched Arctic Sentry, giving Russia's increased military activity and China's growing interest in the High North. We will also discuss our continued support for Ukraine. As the United States continues to drive efforts to bring the war to a just and lasting end, Russia continues to pursue civilian targets, including energy infrastructure. So it is still essential that allies continue to step up support, including through NATO's Pearl initiative.
The German defense minister, meanwhile, pressed for further European responsibility in NATO's defense efforts at the NATO summit in The Hague in July. European allies, with the exception of Spain plus Canada, agreed to Trump's demand that they invest the same percentage of their economic output on defense as the United States within a decade. European leaders pledged to spend 3.5% of the gross domestic product on core defense and a further 1.5% on security-related infrastructure, a total of 5% of the GDP by 2035.
To keep the NATO transatlantic, it is necessary to make it more European.